In this video, we're going to look at setting up and customizing your footer with the Caliber theme. In this example, we've already imported the demo content using the starter kits included with Caliber. If you haven't seen that video, you may want to watch it first. This is the default footer, the way the content is set up when you import that demo content. First thing we're going to do is we're going to look at where that content comes from. So if we go to the WordPress admin, we can see in our theme options under the default tab, we have a section called footers. In this area, we have a place for you to set a background color, a background image, the content width, which can be full or fixed width, just like the rest of the content throughout Caliber, the footer content source, and this is the main thing, the footer content source. This is where it gets what shows in your footer content. And it's pulling this from the content blocks, and that's this right here, content blocks. We use this for a lot of things in Caliber, including header content, and it can also be used to pull content into sidebars and throughout your entire site for reusable content blocks. So we're going to take a look at this default footer content right here. So we go into the content blocks and we see footer content. So we're going to open this one. And when this page loads, you're going to see a bunch of code. Now, if you're not used to working with HTML, this might be a little scary, but don't worry, you do not need to know how to edit this code to use the footers. We're going to create something really simple to start, and then we're going to move on to a multi-column version. So to do this, what we need to do is we need to create a new content block. So I'm going to go to this button up here. I'm going to say add new block, and I'm going to call it my footer. I'm also going to switch to the visual editor, and the first thing I'll do is I'm going to add an image. So I go to my media library, I'm going to select this logo for Caliber, I'm going to insert it into the post, and I like the way this is. The size is good. I'm pretty happy with this. So next I'm just going to add a new line, and I have some text that I want to add. I'm going to paste that in here, and then one more line for a copyright. I'm going to make this line more like a heading. I'm going to give it the H5 element, and then we'll leave this line like it is. I want them both to be centered, so I'll highlight the two lines and I'll select center. And now I think I'm going to probably change the color in the background because I've got this dark logo with this dark text, and the default footer, when we looked at it, it had a dark background color. So if we're going to make it a lighter background color to show how we can change that, I'm going to also change this text color. So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to create a custom color. I'm just going to paste this in here. There we go. It's kind of a muddy brown color. All right, and now I'm going to save this. I'm going to publish. Now I have a new content block. It's called my footer, and it has this content, but it's not set to show anywhere. It's not assigned to any area. So what I want to do is go back to the Caliber theme options. I'm going to go down to my footer. And for the footer content source, I'm going to select my footer. There it is. That's what we just did. Now, I'm also going to change this color here. I'm going to paste in a custom color. And now I will save these settings. I'll go back to the Caliber page. I'm going to refresh this. So now we have a beautiful, simple footer with our logo, a headline, and a copyright notice. Next, we want to try and make something a little more complicated. I'm going to go back into the admin. I'm going to go back to the content block I already created, and I'm going to edit it, my footer. This time what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to the text editor mode, and here you'll see we have our HTML for the elements that we had added. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to switch this auto paragraph setting to off, because when WordPress formats your code, if you're writing actual HTML, it likes to throw in paragraphs tags in places where you don't expect them. This just makes sure that it doesn't do that, because we're going to tell it exactly where we do and don't want paragraphs. So now that we have that setting enabled, I'm going to go to the Bootstrap website. It's getbootstrap.com. You can click on CSS and then choose Grid System. And then I'm just going to go to this example stacked to horizontal. And right here, this last little example they give right here, this row, and it's 2 columns with medium size 6 width, which is a half width column in Bootstrap. I'm going to copy that code I'm going to go back to my admin here, and I'm just going to paste that right in like that. So the one thing you need to know that's different about the Bootstrap grid from ours is they use a 12-column grid system and we use a 24-column grid system. What that means is we get a little more flexibility in the sizing of our columns because we have more potential widths that we can set, but it also means that if we're going to use an example from Bootstrap, we have to multiply all these numbers times 2. And that's really easy. We'll just change these to 12. And I'm going to delete out this default text that they put in there and just give myself a real simple 2-column layout. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to enter these elements that I already created into these 2 columns. And I've actually created these with a little extra HTML formatting on them already, and I'll walk you through what has been changed in these. The first one that I'm going to paste in here, this is the headline that we had where we said we've been making the internet more beautiful since 2010. I haven't changed anything on this from what I had copied before, except that it's aligned to the left now instead of centered. And that code was already there. We just changed the word center to left. And then this line right here, we added this line. We copied it directly from the demo website, and that's the text that we have on the bottom left-hand side. We put it inside of a paragraph tag, and that's all we're going to do over here. We're just going to let this do what it does. For this second column, we want it to align to the right. So we can enter a class for that. We're just going to type in text right. And then we have our image that we previously used and our copyright text that we can paste directly in here. And I'm using the same image I used before. I've added a style tag and set the margin to 0 because by default in any content area, WordPress has some margins on the images that are styled in with the CSS. We've also got it wrapped in a paragraph tag now, and we've modified the size just slightly. It was 300 pixels wide. We made it a little smaller. We took it down to 200, and we set the height to compensate for that also. And then the next thing is this copyright 2016 Caliber Inc. That's the exact same thing we had before. We've just copied and pasted it into here. Now I'm going to update this, and I'll go back to my website, refresh the page, and now we have a 2-column layout for our footer. It has the logo on the right and a copyright notice and some text on the left that we've put there that's sort of about us. And that's how you modify your footer using Caliber. I hope it's been helpful. Thanks for watching.